Medusa's Stony Stare, a retelling by Jessica Gunderson, illustrated by Rich Pellegrino. In a long ago time of myths, gods from Mount Olympus ruled over humans. During this time, in the Greek city of Argos, there lived a king named Acrisius. He had a daughter, Danae, but no sons. One day, he visited a fortune teller and asked if he would ever have sons. "You will have no sons," said the fortune teller. Then she looked into his eyes and said, "And your grandson will kill you." Stunned and frightened, the king returned home. He locked Danae in a dungeon and threw away the key. Despite this, Zeus descended into Danae's dungeon in a shower of gold. Soon after, Danae bore Zeus a son named Perseus. King Acrisius was afraid that one day Perseus would kill him, so he locked Danae and her baby in a wooden chest and set them adrift in the sea. The chest washed up on the shore of Seriphos. A fisherman named Dictys found the chest, with Danae and Perseus shivering inside. He brought them to safety. Dictys and Danae soon fell in love. However, Polydectes, the cruel king of Seriphos, had also fallen in love with Danae. He would do anything to have her. In the valley of the Gorgons, far from the island of Seriphos, lived a child named Medusa. As Medusa grew up, she realized she was different to her two sisters. Her sisters were not pleasant to look upon, but Medusa was beautiful. Her golden hair shone upon her head. Her eyes and smile were bewitching. Anyone who looked at her was entranced. Something else was different about Medusa. Her sisters were immortal, which meant they would never die. However, Medusa was mortal. One day, she would die. Medusa did not think about her mortality. Instead, she spent her days looking in the mirror, pleased with her own beauty. Athena, goddess of war, invited Medusa to be a priestess in her temple. She appreciated Medusa's beauty, but she was also jealous of it. Athena often caught Medusa staring at her own reflection. "My temple is no place for vanity," Athena warned. "This is a sacred place." Medusa nodded, but after Athena left, she turned back to the mirror. Athena's words did not matter. Medusa cared only about her own beauty. One day, Poseidon, god of the sea, came to Athena's temple. When he saw Medusa, he was amazed by her loveliness. He approached her and grabbed her arm. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Have you a husband?" "No, I am unmarried," replied Medusa, a little frightened but also pleased that Poseidon had noticed her. "Then I shall have you, girl," Poseidon thundered triumphantly. Medusa tried to break free of his grasp, but the god was too strong. She could not get away. At that moment, Athena returned to her temple and saw Poseidon embracing Medusa. She was enraged, but she hid behind her shield until Poseidon was gone. Then she revealed herself to Medusa and cried, "You have tempted Poseidon in my sacred temple." Trembling, Medusa begged Athena to let her go unpunished. However, Athena had the perfect punishment in mind. "Your beauty will never tempt another," snarled Athena. "Your beauty is no more." With that horrible curse, Athena turned Medusa's golden ringlets into coils of writhing snakes. She turned her skin into scales and her hands into claws. Beautiful Medusa had become a hideous monster. Medusa ran from Athena's temple in horror. A man passing by stopped to stare at her. His lips curled in disgust, then his face froze. He had turned into stone. Medusa was startled, but her horror quickly changed to delight. "My ugliness is more powerful than my beauty could ever have been," she thought, petting the snakes that hissed in her ears. She laughed wickedly as she walked back to the valley of the Gorgons. Soon the story of Medusa had spread across the land. On the island of Seriphos, King Polydectes listened to the tale with interest. Just as Athena had wished for Medusa's beauty, Polydectes also wanted what he could not have, Danae, mother of Perseus. Polydectes knew that Danae was in love with Dictys, and that Perseus would stop any other man from marrying his mother. He also knew that Perseus knew of his feelings towards Danae, so Polydectes wanted to get rid of Perseus. When he heard the horrible tale of the monster Medusa, he had a brilliant idea. Polydectes called his people to his palace. He announced that he would like to take Hippodamia as his bride.
"Each family must bring me an engagement gift,"
he commanded, knowing that Perseus would not be able to afford a gift. One by one, the families of Seriphos came forward to offer their gifts to Polydectes. Perseus approached the king empty-handed. "I have no gold to buy a gift," he said, "but I will do anything you want, as long as you stay away from my mother." Polydectes smiled. His plan was working.
"Anything I want, you say? Well, in that case, I want you to bring me the head of Medusa."
"The Gorgon who turns men into stone?" Perseus asked, trembling.
"The very one,"
the king said, still smiling.
"If you bring me the monster's head, I will marry Hippodamia. If you don't succeed, I will marry your mother instead."
Perseus had no choice. "I will meet your challenge," he agreed. The king laughed as Perseus walked away.
"How will Perseus slay Medusa without looking at her?" he thought. "The boy is as good as dead, and Danae will be mine."